Well, hello and welcome, everybody, on a day where technology is nobody's friend and it's literally kicking us in the ass one person at a time. I feel like Trump has somehow infiltrated the live show setup and screwed that up as well. But let me just fix a thing here because our guest did just get back in. There's been glitches and gloops and globs and all kinds of craziness. But here we go. So we've got an assortment of our usual conspirators here. We got Commander McMillan in. How's it going, buddy?
Pretty good.
Good. We got Rudy in. How's it going, Rudy?
What's up?
Hey,
how's everybody doing?
Good. We've got Secular Sakai in. How's it going, pal?
Hey, good to be here.
All right. We've got Slavi in, of course. How's it going, Slavi?
It's going, hanging in there, but
Good. And we've got today's guest, Trident Patriots. We'll be getting the links out so you can all experience what they're up to and stuff. His name is Ben. Welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us. How's it going?
Good. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, good to have you in. So let me get your mic turned up a little here and make sure everybody can hear you good. Give us a quick rundown on the project, what you guys are up to, and why everybody's going to really, really care.
Well, I was born in Crimea, Ukraine, before it was annexed by Russia. Anyway, I ended up being in an orphanage and got adopted by American parents. And so I grew up in America and realized as an American citizen. And so can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah, coming through good. There was an odd sound going on, but I got it out of there. So yeah, you're good to go.
I got 5 cats. They're running around, so you might hear that. Sorry about that. So I grew up in America 20 years and joined the United States Army. I got deployed to Syria to fight ISIS with my unit. I was a cavalry scout. I got out, became an armed security guard in DFW, Texas. War here in Ukraine started. I saw the war said Russia said they'll take 3 days to take over Ukraine, and I still had family here in Crimea, and I still always wanted to come back to Ukraine. Unfortunately, I waited till the war started for me to actually come back to my homeland, but I ended up coming back. And anyway, I started out as a humanitarian aid part of a group because I didn't know anybody. I met somebody because I feel like things happen for a reason. 6 months later, I got used to understanding how to create a network with contacts. And so then I created a medical instructors team in Ukraine. So basically what we do is partner up with commanders up near the Eastern Front, and we teach them tactical combat casualty care. TCCC is what we shorten it to. Basically, it's tactical medicine. And then after that, basically, we teach everything what they're supposed to have in their IFACs or their individual first aid kits, and how to utilize each one of them to stabilize someone's life.
Oh shoot, we lost Ben.
Yeah, it seems that he's just having a bit of a connection issue, and I've got it in the most conservative mode we have to make sure it works. So let's just give him a second because systems will catch up and hopefully bit rates will improve and we can get them back in. I'm just gonna try to maybe turn them down to 24 frames a second and just lower the bit rate on it, right? Yeah, he's just popped out. So we'll have to wait till he pops back in. So it has been a week where there is so much that could be talked about. We won't even have enough time today. Slavi, where do you think news-wise we should even start digging in? I think we've got Ben joining in. There we go. Ben's back. Okay. All right. I didn't even have to meander that long. That wasn't too bad, right?
You're about to throw it to me.
Yeah. I knew I had to do something, right? Yeah. Ben, you can hear us okay? Everything's back? Oh, I don't hear him.
We see him, yeah, but don't
Yeah.
hear him yet.
Let me just refresh his little thingamabobber here. We might get sound now. Ben, do we hear you?
He just did a Houdini move.
Speak to the thumb. Do we hear you? We don't hear you yet. It's just not kicking in.
Oh,
And he's
no,
back up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I guess pass it off to Slavi now.
Yes, that we will do exactly that.
All right. Well, I will start with the biggest story, and it's United States has suspended all military aid and intelligence sharing with Ukraine. This decision follows a contentious meeting between Trump and President Zelensky, during which Trump expressed dissatisfaction with Ukraine's commitment to peace negotiations with Russia, and the suspension affects over 1 billion in arms and ammunition previously slated for delivery to Ukraine, severely impacting the country's defense capabilities. Being Patriot missile systems. So the US had supplied Ukraine with advanced MIM 104 Patriot missile systems, essential for intercepting high-speed targets like Russia's Kinzhal 22 missiles, with aid suspension, maintenance, and operational support for these systems, and are obviously in jeopardy, reducing their effectiveness and leaving Ukraine vulnerable to aerial assaults. They also suspended intelligence and satellite imagery, and in result of that was a recent missile strikes. Unfortunately, I mean, they just keep bombarding Ukraine, and the vulnerability was starkly highlighted by the Russian ballistic missiles attack at a hotel in Kyiv, resulting in 20 civilian casualties. And the attack underscored the challenges Ukraine faces in defending against such strikes. It's, yeah, I mean, over 20 Ukrainian civilians killed. So I don't see how that's Russia wanting peace at all. And but saying that Trump thinks that Russia does want peace and Ukraine does not, which is weird because people in war want peace the most.
Yeah.
They wanted to end the most.
If Russia wants peace, if they are actually trying to sell that properly, just back up. You will have peace. Just fuck off.
Yeah.
I would say the same thing I always say, which is, fuck Donald Trump and his administration is an embarrassment to the United States. But, we say that all the time. At the end of the day, this will have a tangible effect. It's already been bad, but this will have a tangible effect on people's lives.
Exactly.
And that is hard.
Already it is 20 Ukrainian civilians.
Exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
This choice will be lived in infamy, basically. There's blood on this administration's hands, a lot of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it just barely started too. I mean, it's not even a full 2 months in, and I mean, they have done so much damage everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately, just started.
Let's play a certain meme here that everybody will love to get a kick out of.
You suck.
Feels good.
I love that
I
one.
want to point something out.
I wish that's how it happened. Yeah.
Commander?
Want to point something out, which is that the way Slavi phrased it, it was like the contentious meeting led to these cancellations. I'm convinced they, being the administration, had already made up their minds well before the meeting between Zelensky.
I agree.
I agree. Yeah.
That they were going to do this. That just provided them a pretext.
Yeah, we were talking yesterday on the 42 show, Commander. There is evidence to support the fact that this idea of taking away the temporary refugee status for Ukrainians in America was on the table before the whole Trump being an asshole to President Zelensky even happened, right?
100%.
Yeah.
The
This is
cruelty is the
calculated.
purpose.
Sorry.
Yeah. Couple of shout outs here, and we'll a couple of shout outs quick, and we'll turn to Ben here. So Niles Kunzen in the chat there re-upped his membership. Huge thanks. Tyler Dowdy comes in with a super chat here. Question for Commander. What are your thoughts on Trump firing the woman Navy Admiral?
I don't think it's much of a surprise. We know he's a rabid misogynist, and they had already issued orders that women who were in combat arms roles were going to be moved out of those roles to some supporting rear echelon jobs. It's predictable that the next move is to take any women in leadership roles and push them to the side.
Yeah.
It's a man's world.
Oh, God. Oh, no. A couple of shout outs as well here. Scooter Pie came in with a good one here. Why doesn't Israel have to pay back everything? There's a definite discussion that could be had there, although I'm not sure we'll have it here, to be honest.
Israel has been receiving, I think, like 18 billion for the last 40 days.
Yeah. And there's nobody's yelling at each other and all this other garbage, right? There was a second one here from Scooter Pie as well. This is a direct Ko-fi donation, which are great because it comes right away and we can put it into the pot for helping. The United States has told its allies that it does not plan to participate in military exercises in Europe, according to reports. The EU has just mounted this big charge to step up and whatnot, right?
Oh yeah.
It gets worse. They've already started talking about relocating all the U.S. forces that are based in Germany to Hungary.
What?
Oh my God.
Oh, Jesus.
Now, we're talking about a government that is claiming that we're going to be saving billions in taxpayer dollars by, fiscal conservative behavior. So moving established bases and building new ones in another country, that's not going to cost anything. It'll be done for free. We'll get the Mexicans to pay for it.
Yeah. Just like the damn wall, right?
We're talking about a regime in the United States that wants to push for countries like Hungary and Slovakia to take over the EU.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's dangerous, these times we live in.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
This is a new world. This is it's a new reality, and I think we should forget like the old world and fight for our future. And
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm sure everyone is doing that. What's important is how they will go about doing it and who they assume they need to form alliances with to do that.
Yeah. I know in the background, I mentioned this recently, but there's so many countries scrambling around, talking trade deals and so on. Like there's a complete reshuffle that could be seriously big. Real now stuff, right? Commander, I mean, you got a lifetime of service and your father as well. Like this must just hit you to the core, man.
He has taken the established world order that has been in place since the end of the Second World War, and he hasn't just dumped it in the trash. He's thrown it in the garbage disposal and grinding it up. And what's worse is I don't think he has any idea what he's going to replace it with.
Right.
He's just being an agent of chaos, because in his mind, that's how you make change and profit, is you create chaos and then you act on it.
Yeah.
And that's what he's trying to do. He figures this is a way to personally enhance his own wealth.
Yeah. This is all about him and his little group getting more. That's the only thing that's truly going on here. That's one thing you can count on.
Well, as events unravel quite quickly, it's more and more plausible that they're actually going after the multipolar world, which is Dugin's theory to do, which is a world shared between three powers: China, Russia, and United States.
Yeah.
So Europe
Wait,
would need to be part of Russia.
Russia is in line with China. What do you mean there's three? They're in line with one. So that means really there's only two powers because Russia is in line.
But they're on different part.
They're aligned. They're aligned when it's convenient.
Yeah,
Right.
there we go. That sounds a lot more accurate.
That's a whole different conversation on China.
I think that's
Yeah.
also to a large extent faulty thinking, because what he's done is made evident to everybody across the entire globe that you can't depend on the U.S. to honor any deals or alliances it makes. So what he's really doing is taking the U.S. out of that multipolar equation and basically inserting Europe in its place.
Yeah.
Europe will become the next rising superpower because we've basically abrogated any involvement in the world.
It's just xenophobic nationalism and isolationism. Try to take the U.S. to not being involved in stuff unless it's at its own back.
I think you're giving him far too much credit.
Well, I mean the people around Trump.
Okay, possibly them.
Yeah.
I don't even think they are. I mean, I think the people that are trying to steer him, the Heritage Foundation and that kind of bunch of people, it's kind of like the industrialists in Weimar Germany who were absolutely convinced that they could control Hitler and everything would be done according to their recipe. And then they were suddenly shocked to find that, well, no, we can't really control him. He tells us what to do, and if we don't dance to his tune, we get a nice paid vacation at Dachau.
Exactly.
Not true, but there's one big difference in that analogy. One is that he was a monster, but Hitler was younger in age and more competent, whereas Donald Trump is older in age and completely incompetent.
Bordering senile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's Vladimir Putin. He's the very opposite of them. So, in the sense of a lot of young dictators or commanders of countries would, utilize cultural or society influence to overtake different swaths of countries, right? It's even utilize religion as doing that as well. But because Putin is so old, he's in his 70s, and Trump is, old too, they don't have time for cultural or social influence. They have to take by force.
Right.
And so in my mind, they're thinking, okay, this is what was going to happen. But in my mind, what I don't understand is Trump is saying, hey, look, we want the American economy to grow, right? But we're not going to help Ukraine. But let's look back on when the American government was helping Ukraine, how better the economy was, how many more jobs, and how it stifled the American economy by helping Ukraine militarily. So in my mind, Trump is saying if we're not going to help them militarily, it's like, oh well, but I thought you said you want to help the American economy.
Yeah.
Everyone knows damn well that helping Ukraine does and has helped the economy. So why is
even
that
more basic fallout from his stupid decisions? We used to sell a ton of military equipment to European countries.
Yeah.
Almost all those contracts have now been canceled. Nobody wants to buy U.S. anymore. So our defense industry is going in the toilet too.
Yeah. And that's a lot of cash in that industry, right?
Either that, unless you find alternative buyers, and I would hope, unless the United States itself doesn't want to get sanctioned,
Sub-Saharan Africa is known to be a huge buyer of the most sophisticated military hardware.
I was going to say the only markets I could think of that could replace Europe realistically would be either China, or Russia. And in either of those cases, they're your enemy. And in either case, you're going to get sanctioned to hell if you try to sell to them.
Yes, yeah.
Let's discuss what Europe is doing in terms of stepping up and in response to this
Absolutely.
escalating.
Yeah.
So European Union has taken unprecedented steps to bolster Ukraine's defense capabilities. Massive defense investment. EU leaders have agreed to a historic rise in defense spending, proposing up to 800 billion,
Yeah.
including a 100 billion in loans for joint procurement of European defense equipment. This move aims to strengthen Europe's defense autonomy amid growing threats from Russia. And European Peace Facility, the EU's EPF, has been a crucial instrument providing 5.6 billion in military support to Ukraine. So this fund has facilitated the supply of weapons, training, and other military assistance to enhance Ukraine's defense capabilities. Military training mission, the European Union Military Assistance Mission is in support of Ukraine, was established to provide individual, collective, and specialized training to the Ukrainian armed forces operating within EU member states. And this mission just underscores the EU's commitment. They have finally woken up, hallelujah, to
Yeah.
Ukraine.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were quite sleepy for the last 3 years.
Better late than never.
All it took was a madman in the White House to wake Europe up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but for the second time, you would have thought after the first one that there would already be, we better get this together a bit more, because if we get another one like that, right? And then boom, here we are, right?
It makes sense to me, though, because, when it comes to Trump's first term, and almost at the heart of democracy as a whole, the whole point of having elections and a different person in power every however many years is that you might end up with someone who isn't so great, or in hindsight was a little authoritarian. So it was easy for people to brush it off as, oh no, it was a one-time thing. It can't be brushed off now. It is confirmed as a major problem now.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Crazy, man.
I don't think Trump was expecting for this many people, to have this negative effect on the U.S. Like Canada, all them boycotting America and American products. Mexico, also taking retaliatory tariffs. I think he was expecting all these different countries to just cave into his demands, and the fact that all these different countries are now standing up for themselves. I don't think that was something that his administration was expecting.
Well, I think they have a fundamental misunderstanding of the difference in who imports and who exports. We import a lot of stuff from other countries. We do not export a whole lot to other countries. And so I think he figured if he raised tariffs that suddenly people would start buying American as opposed to buying all the foreign imports, except A, we're already priced out of that market, and B, most of the industry that used to support that has been sold off and shipped out of country.
Yeah.
So we can't replace what he thinks he's going to raise tariffs on.
Yeah.
There would be at least one person around him that be like, this is not going to work. This is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's just
Oh, yes, man.
That he's wrong. Like all his little people that is supposed to, before the war's supposed to happen, he sends his spies and his agents into Ukraine, and he's like, "Oh, hey, how is the outcome? We can take over Ukraine without a fight, right?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, for sure, yeah." So you have a bunch of yes men, right,
Yeah.
for a dictator. It's the same thing now for Trump. I feel like literally he has yes men, like J.D. Vance, for example. Oh yes, you didn't say thank you. Oh yeah. You guys say thank you to our president, like yada yada. Like, come on, man. Like, you
Yeah.
similar.
The last thing you ever do if you want to survive in an authoritarian regime is tell the emperor he ain't wearing any clothes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to, and I want to steer the conversation back primarily to Ukraine here momentarily, but one thing I'll say when it comes to Donald Trump and his yes men, his cronies around him, with a government like that making so many obvious mistakes, stupid mistakes, and with the kind of rhetoric they're using, it can only end in one of two ways: either complete abject failure and embarrassment, where they have to walk everything back constantly, and whenever Trump is finally gone, a scramble to try to fix old diplomacy, old alliances, or if it gets bad enough, the Russian route. And I stay awake at night hoping that I never wake up to word of American troops in Mexico or anywhere else.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Well,
It's going to take generations to restore our credibility.
exactly.
if
I
not
don't even-
longer.
I don't even know the world can last that many generations for us to restore our credibility, and to be honest with anyone's credibility. Because if you think about it, if Europe was in a position like, I don't understand. There are so many countries in Europe that are they say, oh yeah, we're like first class world countries here. We're so powerful. We have nukes. We have yada yada. Our armies are so strong. You have these propaganda videos on TikTok saying, oh wow, we're like, amazing and don't mess with us. But in all reality, they don't have anything. But then you have the U.S. and supposedly the U.S. has got half of the support for Ukraine. We have like what, more than 10 countries supposedly helping Ukraine. How is it possible? You have 10 motherfucking countries that are helping Ukraine.
Individually,
It's half of one
European
country.
countries don't compare to the U.S., but if you take them collectively, if they all operate together, then yes, they do constitute a superpower.
Yes. But
Why
The
haven't
trouble is, getting the Europeans to all drive in the same direction is a real challenge.
Yeah. They all want.
shit like so many years, and they're saying at this last summit for Ukraine that everybody excluding USA, they're like, oh, we only have like 2 more months before it's too late. No, it's been too late 3 years ago, and
Yeah.
I'm afraid Europe will never be able. Like they say, hey, we'll do this, hey, we'll do that, we'll send troops. They say they are speaking words, but words don't stop missiles, and words don't stop bombs. What are they? Are they really going to do something? Or are they going to actually continue speaking?
we're going to find out soon, I think.
Yeah. No, the problem is that the EU, the European Union, operates more as an entity like the United Nations than it does a single united federal entity like, say, the United States as an example. There's too much getting in the way of all the countries actually coordinating and working together as a single unit beyond economics, in terms of military, in terms of communications, in terms of political will. There are too many factors and variables that get in the way, and that's the problem. Without a strong, united, dare I even say federalized Europe, you're going to have that constant squabbling, almost like fiefdom squabbling.
Yeah. It makes sense, though. You get enough humans in a room, and you always end up in a situation where, do you think of the group or your own position within the group? And that brings it to its knees, right?
Precisely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of Americans have a kind of misguided sense of what Europe is. They tend to think of the individual countries as being akin to American states, and that the EU Parliament and everything runs it like the federal government here. They really do not understand that's not the way it works.
No,
not at all.
No. A couple of shout outs here I'll jump in with. So Let's see here. I got to scroll back to Petra Olsen. She came in with 129 Swedish kroner in a super chat there with love to Ukraine. And with love, thou shall be sent. Thank you, Petra. Mr. Nobody came in. I'm still kicking, had to take care of myself. Well, I hope you've taken care of yourself and you're doing well. Ivan Way, Slava Ukraine, Heroam Slava. Mr. Nobody gifting out 10 Shills memberships. Go, Mario, go. And then Dunk on You gifting out memberships as well. Thanks, guys. Love gifted memberships. Absolutely. If I switch over to this panel now, Egon in the chat threw in a direct Ko-fi donation there. I hope that Europe will seriously take its head out of the sand, not just in talk. That's, I think, a sentiment that everybody here absolutely agrees with. My sneaking suspicion is that this is far more real than they've ever had slapped in their faces for a while, and this is going to be taken seriously and acted upon. And then we had Dunk on You 23 as well, threw in a $28 direct donation there for anything it's needed for. Slava Ukraine. Heroam Slava. Yeah, we're doing some fundraising today for Ben's group there, the Trident Patriots. So we'll get the link in the chat there. They've got a direct PayPal link where you can help and contribute and make sure they're doing the best work they can. And we're going to be doing that as well today. So yeah, thanks everybody. Cool.
Not to be confused with Trends Against Tyrants, two different groups.
Yeah. There's some crossover there, but it's Ukraine, so go figure, right? Yes, exactly. So let's see. Where do we want to go next with events and things and whatnot?
What about dispelling disinformation? How is it possible that Russian propaganda has reached America? Can I start it off real quick?
Yeah.
Can I give one?
Yeah.
I am 27 and I was adopted from Crimea, and so I grew up in Alabama actually. And so I was a conservative Republican, very conservative, Southern Baptist, Bible thumping type of people. And hopefully my family's not listening. But point being is, they're very, very conservative. And it's not that I'm not having anything against that. It's just the way it is. Growing up, I always thought of my family as my mom and dad as being wise and knowing everything. Not everything, but you know how it is.
Yeah.
And my grandparents as well, right? Especially when it comes to like Christianity. And so I would come to my elders about it. And so all my life, I've always thought about anytime I need some wisdom or advice, I go to these people. Well, then I'm thinking, okay, bet. So all of Biden, and I'm not going to lie, I've been a conservative. And so I voted conservative all my life because that's how I was raised, right? But growing up, suddenly I'm thinking, okay, I didn't vote for Biden, but Biden won. Okay, but I'm here in Ukraine now. But Biden's administration is helping Ukraine. So it's like, okay, I don't like some of Biden's policies in America, but I'm really liking what he's doing here in Ukraine. So
Right.
I'm focusing on what here is in Ukraine. So, I'm focusing on work and yada yada. So I'm not focusing on politics in America at all, only here in Ukraine.
Right.
So I'm enjoying that. So then, politics comes up because there's new elections here in Trump, and I'm like, okay, as a conservative Republican, I'm like, I'm not going to be voting because I'm here in Ukraine and I'm helping here. But I'm really hoping that things will help work out in Ukraine. I mean, in America, because when I went back last time, I was really struggling getting a job, whereas a few months, a year ago, it was easy. And anyway, point being is, I came back, or I wanted Trump to do good things for America. And so the first 5 or 6 days, I was like, oh, wow, he's doing some good things, yada, yada. And he was doing things that I was raised thinking that it was good to do. And so I was like, all right, but I'm here in Ukraine. But then he's turned his eyes towards Ukraine, and he starts saying these things about, like Russian propaganda. He literally started talking. Like I think he's the first one that started talking about. I mean, besides Ben Carlson or the Carson dude, but he whatever. But when Trump started talking about dictator this and dictator that, Zelensky, and started talking these negative things about Ukraine and saying these positive things about Russia, it's like, whoa, what are you talking about? Like, and so now we have to fight disinformation. We're talking about, oh, we want peace, we want peace. What does peace look like? Is it peace that there's drones that's like destroying and killing um, people of different ages all the way to young children and to old babushkas? Are we talking about peace being broken every time it's signed by Russia all the way back in history, going centuries back, So what is it that we're actually talking about? And so when I'm talking to my grandparents and my family in the group chat, it's a little astonishing for me young compared to them. um, like why are you saying these things? Like to me it's shocking. It's like how are people that I look up to saying things that are literally Russian propaganda?
Right.
I'm hearing helping Ukrainians, and in my own family, adopted family in America, are like they're conservative Republicans and pro-life and everything, wanting the war to stop. But like it's like they're like, oh, we want the war to stop, whatever it costs, and it's like, okay, so you're gonna you're gonna reward Russia for taking the territories it did, and it's like how
Yeah.
like
So yeah, Ben. As far as the how for how propaganda ends up getting into the West, I think there's a couple different sources you could look at. First of all, are you familiar with Operator Starsky and Greg Terry? Either of them? Oh, I couldn't hear you. But
no, I don't know.
They're on here fairly frequently.
Yeah. So now Starsky, he served in the armed forces of Ukraine. He's very knowledgeable. He knows quite a few people, and he's contributed to a group called the Propaganda Study Institute, which has several people affiliated with it. Soldiers, people who assisted during the Maidan before the invasion of Crimea in eastern Ukraine back in 2014, journalists from Ukraine, dedicated to just kind of explaining to people how Russian propaganda is able to infiltrate and make its way into the West and some of the most unexpected places. Another, and then Greg Terry, because you mentioned that your background, your upbringing is more, American, conservative, Republican, from Alabama. So if you want a good example of a conservative who defines himself as a Reagan era conservative, because a lot of people here might be centrist in the middle or might be liberal on the left, but someone who's conservative, Greg Terry, I have a lot of respect for that man. He is very connected when it comes to different churches. He is very connected and very supportive of Ukraine. I'd recommend getting in touch or looking at the channels for Operator Starsky and for Greg Terry. And I think that'll help give you a good idea.
Is it possible to add that to the description of this link video or this video?
They're in it.
Oh yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's a thing in our description that says, some of our regulars, and they're both in those links.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll check.
What I find is in this day of social media and all the different little offhand ways of communicating that aren't deep and meaningful, they're just quick little clips and quips and whatnot, that muddies the message entirely and makes it so that you can bring crap in through the mud very easily. I'm surprised how many people in the modern day and age have literally no critical thinking skills left anymore to sift through this on their own. What the hell happened?
Well, the dumber the population is, the easier it is to control it. Hence why
Department of Education.
Yep.
The other thing that's worth noting is that the disinformation and propaganda comes in multiple variations and directions. So they're trying to sow the seeds of chaos and disagreement and division within our society by both playing on the left to hate the right and the right to hate the left. As long as we can't come together as a society and agree on what things we want to do, they're winning. They being, you know, the Russian disinformation group and so forth.
So this is the first step of war like this. Yes.
Can barely hear you there, dude.
I think
How would
it
you-
started with they had us fighting, well, especially MAGA, a culture war.
Yep.
When what we need to be paying attention to is this it's a class war, basically.
Well,
Word.
I've always said propaganda war is the first step of actual war, right? So during Biden's administration, I don't know, there were a lot of bots on TikTok, for example, because I utilized TikTok as a platform for my team, and that's how I got the word out of who we were and what we did a lot easier. But there were a lot of bots there. And a lot of people, when we were on live, realized, hey, these are bots because like pro-Russian, because they realized, hey, if you're pro-Russian, you're in the wrong. Like, hey, you know, it's like the administration created this propaganda against Russia, which was pretty good. Like, I'm not, like I said, I was conservative and I wasn't a big Biden fan, but the propaganda against Russia during Biden's administration was pretty decent. Unlike the one that's here and during Trump's administration, it's pro-Russian and anti-Ukrainian.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, how is it possible?
How
It's like, it's like 4 years ago you were pro-Ukrainian. Even people that were pro-Ukrainian all of a sudden are anti-Ukrainian during Trump's presidency. It's like, yo, a year, like not even a year ago, like not even 4 months ago, you were pro-Ukrainian, and now you're anti-Ukrainian with Trump. How? How?
There's a significant segment of American society that loves to be told what to think. They don't want to think for themselves.
Yeah.
Everything is too confusing and too frightening. So whenever, you know, the president or the company CEO or the pastor stands up and tells you what to think, they all nod their heads vigorously going, oh yeah, that must be true because he's an authority figure. He knows.
Yeah, and I'll expand upon this. Might be an unpopular opinion, but I'll expand upon what Commander McMillan just said. Personally, and I don't think it's just an American thing. I think it's true for a lot of countries. I don't see the modern human population as all that different from, say, the level of critical thinking skills of the Dark Ages or the Middle Ages. The only difference is more of us can read and more of us can send messages literally in a second to spread misinformation.
You're not getting burned.
Or like right wing has a tendencies, they need a leader, they need somebody to follow, you know. And then left wing, although has its problems, but you're taught to think for yourself, to stand up for yourself. And that's what it became, is that right wingers that have their, you know, following the fascism route, and they need their demagogues and their dictators, and
Yeah.
Out of fear of alienating parts of our audience, I will add again, just a reminder: not all people on the right are like that. For example, we love Greg Terry around here.
Yeah.
no. I when I say that, I mean MAGA.
Yeah.
MAGAs are pretty much Russians to me. Like it's
Yeah. Here's the thing I don't get. In this day and age, is it not time to let go of I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, and start pay attention to the message and vote responsibly? Like, isn't the day of this like how can you say you're a whatever when the party is so much further removed from what it was? And like, I don't get it. I've never been a liberal or a Democrat or a conservative or anything. I just simply go with who I think is the right for the time. You know,
Dick, I had a conversation with someone about the two political parties, Republican and Democrat in the U.S., with someone recently, and we both realized something in our conversation. It was, if you took the two parties today and took them all the way back to the 1800s, the time of the U.S. Civil War, You would have people who would say, I would have preferred my party dissolved instead of changing as much as it did since then until today. Because when you think about it, way back then, the Democrats were the super conservative pro-slavery party, and the Republicans were the progressives, were the abolitionists. So, I mean, it just comes down to times change, and people, sometimes they lag behind with, picking up with the times.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question about that real quick?
Yeah.
Why are there only two major parties
Right
now? Why? And why for?
Oh, that's another. We could go down that rabbit hole all day, but to put it extremely simply, it's because the United States inherited a bullshit, archaic voting system from the British that it's never updated, and that results in making it almost impossible for any third party to win. It's because the U.S. uses.
So it's Dunk's fault.
Damn it, Dunk. It's because the U.S. uses a lot of outdated political systems.
Yeah. Well, we're guilty of that around here. I know. Very much so. A shout out here, a good one too. Joe Medley comes in with a Ko-fi donation of $75, no less, and it's for Ben. So we'll get that sent over at the end of the show there, right to their direct funding there, Joe. Thank you very much, Joe Medley. Good call. Awesome. Is there anything else I need to shout out? Let me just look. No, I think I'm all caught up. Now, we got some questions in, everybody. So let me just see if I can't get myself into the question room properly and bring a few up. It wasn't me in the chat there. It was for Commander McMillan here. Do you remember who said something like the fastest way to end the war is to lose it? Seems what Trump wants to do.
Yeah, I've heard the quote. I'm sorry I can't place it. So
yeah. I'm pretty sure it wasn't Genghis Khan, but we got another one in here from Tim Momans. Where does South America and Australia fit into the 3-power plan?
Nowhere.
South America, because of the Monroe Doctrine, is seen pretty much globally as being within the U.S.'s sphere of influence. Australia, New Zealand, technically, I think China believes that they fall to them because they're in their hemisphere, but because of their close ties with the Commonwealth, they're more European.
Yeah.
Dick, how do you feel about maybe perhaps Canada becoming part of the EU?
Well, the EU, I would at this point, I would be very open to discussions about Canada being a member of the EU. Absolutely. I could see that being very beneficial in a lot of ways to a lot of people. I would need to know more information because as a Canadian, I'm a little ignorant on the whole setup, but,
Go further, Dick. Get the Mexicans to join too and then invalidate NAFTA. Watch the U.S. economy just go.
Yeah. Okay, that's what we'll do, Commander. I'll get a nice double wide put in the backyard, and you and the wife and the dogs can come on up. And but yeah, I mean, with Mexico and Canada both having an active involvement in the EU for trade and all kinds of other considerations and stuff, I could see benefits to a lot of different peoples and countries that way. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think Canada is leaning towards EU, and I mean EU is gonna, I think, thrive if they do it fast enough, and Canada will be right there with EU.
We have a lot of resources too, and especially with the military coalition that they're starting. And have you guys heard about that Iron Dome, if you will, that they're talking about that would cover the eastern part of Ukraine and key infrastructure of Ukraine? But it's separate from NATO.
Yeah.
So it has. I don't know. Have you heard about that?
It's spearheaded by France there, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
By Sir, whatever his name is. And Russia foreign minister actually it was like condemned it, and what what does condemn actually mean in these days? You know,
Yeah.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, he was
the
led by the prime minister of England, wasn't it?
yeah, I got
Maybe.
I got so
Just Summer.
I got so confused for a second because at first I thought we were talking about like I saw an article the other day about Trump announcing some kind of Iron Dome for America, and I was like, wait, what? But no, we're talking about the European Sky Shield Initiative.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Trump was probably talking about condoms for blondes that visit his office, right?
Trump, he's been talking about lowering defense spending in half, and he wants Russia and China to do it as well. Obviously, they're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So, such a fool, such a fool.
Yeah. Like
There's
how?
so many.
How? Sorry, my bad.
Everything good, Ben?
No, I'm just frustrated with how politics is going right now.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to that party. Yeah. Wow. I think everybody shows up to that one a day late and $1 short right now. You can't keep up. I mean, how does a 77-million-year-old screwball cause so much chaos so quickly?
Yeah.
Well, the worst part is I think he's actually only 72, if I'm not mistaken. So feasibly, if things went bad enough, he could, hold an office as a puppet for maybe another 8 years.
Oh man.
Maybe he will harvest those organs from people that he.
At this pace, I don't think we'll make it through 4 years. I think some critical events are going to happen a lot sooner than.
Well, I guess it depends on what we mean by make it through. If we mean with the United States as a global leader and superpower, yeah, maybe definitely not.
Oh, it's already not that. No,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, make it through with this kind of with Trump administration.
With him alive.
Yeah, I think there'll be some kind of revolution, given the speed that he's taking to fuck up the country. Even, I mean, he's losing support from MAGAs are flipping against him, and I mean, it's gonna be unlivable to be in United States, and Americans, they do have freedom in their DNA, and once they feel the wrath of Donald Trump and what he's made this country, the economy will be shit. No one will have jobs. People are already losing their houses. A lot of jobs lost. I mean, you can't live like that. So people are gonna start to rise up, and hopefully a revolution.
I totally agree. I mean, they've been starting to have protests everywhere. I mean, he's already pissed off so many Americans and a ton of even his own MAGA supporters. So I personally don't think at this pace, if he keeps on going in this direction, he's gonna last the 4 years.
Yeah.
Something is gonna happen. But I mean, the sooner he gets taken out of power, the quicker.
People are dusting off their old silver bullets for werewolves right now. I can imagine, right?
I want to say the sooner the Trump administration is out of power, because if Vance becomes the president,
there's not a couch in America that's safe.
Right?
It doesn't lack a matter.
Yeah.
Wait,
He's not senile like Trump.
of course, Elon. I mean,
Elon legally wouldn't. He can be
it's a lawless time right now. We're not following any policies. What are you talking about? Like,
fair point. Because if we were following the law, he was already convicted. He should be ineligible to be president.
Should be in jail.
Yeah.
He should be in prison.
Well, you know what I would say to that is what has to happen as far as information campaigns go is if the Constitution doesn't apply anymore, then that needs to be thrown into the face of MAGA, saying, so many things have been done against the Constitution that yeah, at this point,
And those dumb assholes are cheering it on.
yeah, yeah. If it, as
Be
Slavi,
careful.
yeah,
Be very careful, because the obvious retort to that is, okay, we need another constitutional convention,
Oh, God.
yeah.
which is
Well,
something the billionaires and Heritage Foundation have been readying for decades.
Oh, that makes sense. So basically, if you were going to have that happen, the power structures and the ability to drive that narrative forward, it has to be on the other
Yep.
foot, not
Yep.
in their hands.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I've been watching these videos, and I don't know if they're real, but these conspiracy videos, secret videos of Trump talking about Ukraine before the Ukrainian war with like Russian agents or something at like a table, but with like an American delegation. Is this true, or is this something that was made up?
Oh, are you
Um,
talking?
KBG or KGB agent.
Krasnev.
Yeah, is that true?
We've talked about this before, but the key thing, and I'm speaking from personal involvement in this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
the key thing is differentiating between an agent and an asset.
Asset.
He
Yep.
was not an agent, but he is an asset.
Right.
Yep. You don't have to work for someone to be influenced to do their bidding.
Yeah, an asset doesn't have anywhere close to the whole picture, but they definitely have a job to do.
And an asset doesn't even have to know that it's.
That's
an
right. Yeah. So, very good point there. Very good point there. Where are we? We're not bad for time. We do have a time limit today, but I think we're going to get another good 30 minutes in before my personal life explodes and I won't really have any more time. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, that just kind of happens sometimes.
Oh, let me say something right quick. Ben, I think you mentioned before that you had been in the DFW area before you were in Ukraine, correct?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, down Fort Worth and Roanoke, North Fort Worth.
Well, I just wanted to make a shout out right quick. If you got any family, any friends, any folks back home in Texas, tell them there's a protest in Dallas tomorrow from 1 o'clock until 3 o'clock p.m. in support of Ukraine.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
So, Darius Warner Sales, are you listening? I know you is. So, go ahead and after tomorrow. What time did you say it was?
It's going to be, let me pull up the note. It's called the Don't Abandon Ukraine protest by the Ukrainian American Society of Texas, and it's going to be from 1 p.m. until 3 p.m. Central Standard Time, Texas time, at Clyde Warren Park in Dallas.
All right, bet. Well, I'm going to call this Darius after this podcast anyway to make sure that happens. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Let's see. Newswise, Slavi, where do you want to go next?
We have a lot to cover still. We can talk about North Korean troops are officially in Ukraine on European territory. Yeah, they because before they were fighting in Kursk, which is Russian, but yeah, now they have been thrown into the meat grinder with I'm trying to remember which front line, but yeah, now they're in Ukraine officially, which I mean, Commander, I think you know more about this than I, but
yeah. The original contingent was somewhere between 12 to 15,000, depending on whose source you trust. They took over 50% casualties, were withdrawn from the fighting, and then Kim said he would send additional troops, which, again, depending on sources, amount to between 2 to 3 more thousand Norks that are being sent. They aren't there yet. Right. So right now we know that there are Norks near the front lines, but technically, at least according to last reporting, they'd been pulled back for reorganization and recomposition with new personnel, because the units that had been at the front were effectively combat ineffective. They'd been reduced so badly they couldn't fight anymore.
Commander, I've got a question.
Sure.
Do you think South Korea will ever get to a point of involvement where I don't know if it's timidity, if it's just being timid, or if it's just wanting, I don't know, if it's just a lack of political will, even if it were just a few special forces troops who could be directly involved. Do you think they're ever actually going to respond so they've got some people with real trench warfare experience in this generation?
Yeah. If I understand your question correctly, you're saying, would they send forces to support Ukraine? Is that what you're asking?
Supporting Ukraine, yes, that's what I'm asking. Yeah, even if it were just a small.
I think it's highly unlikely because they have that huge, well-armed enemy literally, 30 miles from the capital city. We used to joke when we were operating in Seoul for exercises. I said, yeah, if the war starts, know that there are already 10,000 artillery tubes pointed at this city right now.
Yeah.
You go to a hotel in Seoul, there's chemical protective gear in the closet for you. That's how seriously they take this. They're not likely to send their troops. They are sending aid of some sorts. Getting it through their parliament is difficult because, well, there's so many divisions within their own parliament, their own political system right now. I mean, what was it? Less than a year ago, we had the
martial law thing. Right?
The South Korean president declaring martial law and seizing the chamber because he was afraid they were going to vote to oust him.
That was weird.
Yeah, man.
But intelligence is for sure.
Yes.
The thing, does anybody in the Trump administration have the balls to say to Trump, look, you've got to get Putler and company to understand that there's going to be security boots on the ground no matter what the deal is in the end. I mean, Putler's got Norks on the field and he's crying about other people and boots and stuff. I mean, it's just so... It makes me sick that Trump is even talking to this absolute,
I'm sure that there could be a handful of people who would be willing to do that. I think there have been people in his first administration who did that, and I think they all lost their jobs, are now out of the administration, and basically, speak to journalists about how crazy Trump is.
Yeah. Man, there's a long line of people that are now on his bad side that all talk crap about him, isn't there? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, I think one of the reasons that his cabinet is literally a clown car of incompetence is their sole reason for being selected those positions is loyalty.
That's right.
Because he's afraid of getting 25th Amendment applied to him. So if you're sure that the people that are there are both compromised, so you can control them, and B, owe the entirety of their political position to you, you know they're not going to turn on you.
Yeah.
Hey, did y'all hear that gunfire by any chance?
No, I didn't hear it.
I was trying to get y'all to hear it, but yeah, that was anti-air defense. There's a drone in the area.
Oh, wow.
You safe?
Oh, no, for sure I am. There's a building taller than me, so it's more like, are they safe?
Okay.
But,
I gotcha.
now, y'all didn't hear that for real? I guess the mic on my headphone is not so good. But yeah, no. I seen the flashlights like fireworks, but it's not really fireworks. My bad. I didn't mean to interrupt y'all.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, no worries. Scary as hell, man. Holy. Let's do a couple of shout outs and get caught up here. Al Yorkie with a super chat in. The left and right have-nots should band together against the haves. Division is what the haves want. The states should get united.
Yep, it's not about left versus right. It's about bottom versus top.
Yeah. This is a class thing now, man. Totally.
Well, the sad part is you start talking about class, and even that can turn into a culture war propaganda point. Because then people just say, "Oh, you're talking about class. That sounds like socialist talk."
Yeah.
Well, it's going to get to the point where all the hardcore MAGA Americans won't even listen to a thing I say with that flag behind me. You know, I'm one step away from a communist at this point, right?
Yeah. Well, I find it just depends on what words you use. For example, don't say class, say the poor, because people understand poor versus rich.
Yeah.
Don't say or use blue collar. But basically,
don't be British about it.
Exactly.
I know I said it, and as soon as I said it, I'm like, shit, they're gonna think I'm a communist. And then I was like, no, we need to think about the war.
You even have to be careful with that. You can't say it's rich and poor, because there are plenty of people who would qualify as what they call rich who are definitely not in that camp.
That's right.
The issue is that very, very small segment of the ultra wealthy, that 1% at the very top, who are only interested in getting more for themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's to the point where of ridiculous, where they're really just playing a game for numbers now. Like they're, it's just stupid, right?
Well, also what's stupid is the lack of legal accountability for caps on political campaigns.
Oh,
Citizens
man.
United.
Yeah.
Thank you, Citizens United.
Yeah.
Yep.
We're way tighter on that kind of stuff up here. Oh, yeah, man. You're not allowed to go full Elon Musk and just hand out hundreds of millions of dollars and stuff,
Yeah.
What do we got here?
Oh, I got something.
Okay.
Oh, Ben. So you said that originally you're from Crimea and raised in the States, yeah?
That's right.
So one thing I like to do, one thing that I make it a habit to always do is remind people, of course, always supporting both civilians and soldiers fighting at the front lines, fighting for the defense of Ukraine, but also to remember the people stuck behind enemy lines in the occupied territories, the partisans who do a lot of work, who, are still, to what ability they can, trying to help out in the war effort against the occupiers. And are you familiar with a group called Ateş?
No, I don't know.
If you ever
I know the
find,
word in Turkish.
well, actually, it's funny because of the Crimean Tatar, the Karamli, the connection to the Ottoman Empire way back in the day. There is a linguistic link there, literally meaning fire.
Yeah. Shoot. It's
and-
more accurate.
Yeah, exactly. They're a military partisan group that originates from Crimea among the Karamli Tatar people, and they're still active to this day. They work with intelligence, Ukrainian intelligence. So anyway, I was just curious if you'd ever heard of them, but if you haven't, you should definitely look them up. They do good work.
Right, no, I haven't heard of that specific group, but I have heard of partisans behind enemy lines that would like blow up certain supply chains or parts of supply chains on the tracks, like certain parts of the train, or different factories or facilities, and they're captured, of course, and they're tortured. And it's never caught up in the news like that, but you would have families that are like, oh yeah, I have family.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like this, when I was a child, I would read books about this from World War I and World War II. And and I would just think about it, like maybe people think that this is really this isn't real because it's so similar to like a book thing, because like I feel like a lot of Americans are still so like maybe shocked that these things are happening. They're like, oh no, that's not possible.
Yeah.
Maybe they're living in a fantasy. I don't know.
Well,
but no, it's still happening. Those things in World War II still happening here right now. I mean, not here in Ukraine, but like in Russia and Russian occupied areas that are Ukraine. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, well, for when it comes to partisan groups like that, you're absolutely right. It is like reading something out of World War I or World War II, because just like the French resistance when the Nazis occupied France, the work that the partisans do, blowing up railroad lines, carrying out intelligence gathering missions, providing information secretly to the other side. It's exactly what the French resistance did. It's very brave. It's very, very dangerous. And as far as Americans' understanding of stuff like that, like I love America. I love a lot of Americans who I know in my personal life, but even among the general American populace, there's a lot of misconceptions about the world as a whole, even when it comes to like Mexico, for example. Mexico is a great country, but I don't think it fully registers with people that by international definitions, Mexico has been at very serious war with the cartels for a long time. And a lot of Americans don't understand the scale and the brutality and the war crimes that have been committed against Mexican citizens. There's just a lot about Ukraine, about neighboring countries like Canada and Mexico, really about the world that I wish, if I had one wish granted, it would be a much more robust and effective educational system for the American people.
That's one of the shocking things right now.
You can't tell my kid what to think.
Yeah, oh man, some of that crap.
Right.
But
I can't. My wife's a school teacher, or was. She's retired now, but can't tell you how frequently she'd run up against that mindset.
yeah, and usually by people who actually need the help.
Oh yeah,
right.
Ironically.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She was teaching math, so let's be honest, there's not a whole lot of wiggle room.
Right. And when we're talking basic, basic algebra or basic arithmetic, we're not talking fuzzy logic or there's no.
You'd be amazed how frequently that phrase gets trotted out.
Yeah, I seen it. My son being on the autism spectrum, there was all kinds of intervention services and so on and whatnot, and I would see some of the parents react in some of the most ignorant ways to suggestions of things that could be helpful and whatnot, and they take it as if it's a personal attack. It's like, well, I thought we were having a constructive chat about the child. I didn't realize I just offended you because yet again you have mustard on your shirt. And
it wasn't even Dijon mustard, damn it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you got out of a Bentley looking that way, all right, but
oh man.
Yeah, those people can be very frustrating in a lot of different areas in life. Those are the same people when you're walking into the grocery store, they stop in the center of the entrance to look at their phone, and the whole place just does this whole whirl wave and almost hits them in the back. Everybody coming up behind. I can't stand those people,
They think they're the main character of the story. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah, they are the hero of their story, and there's just no other characters. It's just,
they think they're the main.
Yeah. A couple of shout outs here, I think. Yeah. So we've got, let's see here. Holy Oblation came in, member for 5 months as well. There's fuck Donald Trump, fuck JD Vance, and MAGA as well. What's the EM again? What's
I think EM is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, of course. Right. Of course. Yeah.
Or Elon Muscovite.
Yeah. Elonia Schmuck. Right?
Anybody else have the song "Fuck Donald Trump" playing in their head over and over again?
Yes.
I've been using it as date music, right?
I was at a protest the other day where that song was blaring on full bass for everyone to hear.
Cool.
What is this? Is that the fuck Donald Trump? or is it the new one by Eminem?
I just have the Canadian one stuck in my head because there's a lot of Canadian anti-Trump songs now.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah, I was talking about the fuck Donald Trump, the first, not the new one. I haven't heard the Eminem one.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The Eminem one just came out after the Zelensky bullshit. Do y'all want to talk about that?
Speaking of Zelensky, I think we should cover this and the minerals deal.
Yeah.
So despite increasing international pressure for diplomatic engagement, Vladimir Zelensky remains resolute in his stance against compromising Ukraine's sovereignty. His decision to decline participation in the upcoming Saudi peace summit with US officials underscores Kiev's dissatisfaction with current diplomatic approaches and the commitment to self-determined negotiations. Concurrently, the US and French foreign ministers are engaging in discussions to explore potential avenues for a resolution through concrete outcomes remain elusive. So Zelensky is not participating in these talks. He created a team of his people, and I think he did the right thing.
It's almost like he read history books and knows about the 38 Munich Conference.
Honestly, previously I was for this deal, but now I don't think he should sign it with the United States. I think the wealth should be shared with EU. That would be a thing to do.
The ones that fit. I believe, listen, because even Turkey is trying to help Ukraine. If Turkey puts boots on the ground on the front line in Ukraine, they should have the mineral deal. If EU creates their own NATO away from NATO, they should get it.
Yep.
But if America can put their boots on the ground, they should get it. I believe the ones that actually commit 100% and not just like, I'll give you I'll give you half a gun, and then another piece later on next month, and maybe 5 months later you get one piece of gun.
Yeah.
The ones that say, here's everything that I got. All right, here's okay. Then okay, yeah, for sure. If the U.S. is like, even like she said, if the U.S. was like, yeah, we want to support Ukraine in the mineral deal. You guys know that if the government accepts this, they will defend that position. That means all of their factories, their U.S. will be protected by U.S. soldiers, and Russia knows that. Russia knows that if the U.S. signs that deal and has U.S. Workers inside of Ukraine on the eastern side, if they dare bomb them, that's like them bombing U.S. citizens.
Yeah.
They know that. Right? So, like, in my mind, it's like I don't understand why Trump is just being like that.
Well, there's something even weirder going on, because currently about 80% of all those rare earth minerals that are being discussed in this deal are in occupied territories in the Donbass.
So where do you get that?
It's not like Ukraine can give them away right now. So I don't know what the hell's going on in Trump's mind.
A lot of the lithium is, but that's not actually accurate. A lot of them are in Ukraine, but there's lithium.
No more than 50.
What's up?
Let's talk about Turkey, though. They've really stepped up recently, and they actually are offering again to mediate the peace talks. And Turkey is very much pro-Ukraine. Erdogan said that there shouldn't be peace talks without Ukraine in them. And they want to host peace talks, and I hope to God that happens and not United States doing these things. But yeah, they've really stepped up their support, and they offered putting troops on the ground, peacekeeping troops on the ground as well. So yeah, Turkey, I've always said they're a wild card, and thank God they've swayed this way. They hate Russians so much, and I love it.
I'm a little more Go ahead.
The only thing I want to say about that, about Turkey, is that they're playing on both sides. Now,
Yeah.
I understand that on this side is saying, like, in the last summit that we had, excluding USA, the Erdogan, they actually played a video of Erdogan, saying his speech because he wasn't present at the summit. X amount of leaders weren't. But anyway, he basically said, he's pro-Ukraine, that he thinks that Russia is doing is wrong, and yes, verbalizing he's doing what is right. I think he's also sending some drones or something to Ukraine and militarily helping them. However, he's also receiving Russian oil, and he's doing that for his good for Turkey. He's helping Ukraine because he's against the Russian aggression, but he's receiving Russian oil for his own country. I don't know if you talk about that.
Erdogan is playing his own game.
Yeah.
And the key thing to understand is what he wants to do is put Turkey back into the position that the Ottomans were back when they were a major power.
Yeah.
He wants to have enormous influence over both the Middle East and the Balkan region, and by extension across the Black Sea into Ukraine. And this is one way to go about doing it. So he's playing both sides against the other for his purposes alone.
Yeah, Erdogan, he's empire building. When it comes down to it, I want to remind everyone that the war between Armenia and Azerbaijan flared up again in 2023, 1 year after the full-scale invasion started of Ukraine.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, Armenia realized, Russia isn't going to come and help us. The EU won't help us. The US won't help us. We're vulnerable, to invasion from Turkey and Azerbaijan. If it will benefit Turkey in being able to do what they want to in the region, which means shoring up the Caucasus in terms of influence against Russia, which means being able to do what they want with Armenia and Azerbaijan, build up a nice, a land bridge, if you will. Build a land bridge between Azerbaijan and Turkey so the two are connected, create a new Turkish, not just republic, but federation, if you will, then they will do it. If it does not benefit them in that endeavor, they will not take such a deal.
Also, the Black Sea. Turkey is all about the Black Sea. They want to rule over it and not share it with Russians. That is strategically terrible for them. So I think that this is huge because, you have power when you have trade routes, and Black Sea is it for Turkey. And I personally think it's all about the Black Sea, and Turkey would much rather share it with Ukraine. And Turkey is building a navy for Ukraine. They have, amazing ships and everything. And I think they will essentially start building navy for Europe as well, because they want to be part of EU. They've made it very vocal they've been very vocal about it. And I think Turkey is officially with
Yes.
EU. Yeah.
Yes, that's a very, very good point. Absolutely.
They're part of NATO. Second strongest. They're the second strongest army, second to America, in my opinion. And they know that, and so does the world knows that as well, right? Second thing is that they control the area between the Black Sea and the Mediterranean Sea. So they have a massive economic control, right? So at this moment, they are not blocking the Russian ships like 100%. They could, and they should. And like she said, if they join the EU like that, then yes, they would have to be required to do such more stricter insight on each ship, and would actually help block Russian ships from getting
You still there? Oh no.
to
Is he gonna burn out or fade away? That's now the question, rock and rollers.
Black
Can you hear us, Ben?
We lost you there, Ben. You were doing a great impersonation of Mr. Roboto, but we didn't, Domo arigato, buddy.
But yeah, no. Before you cut out, Ben is absolutely right. Turkey does have a very
Great.
strong military. Yeah.
Hold on, Ben. Refresh your connection and rejoin because all hell's breaking loose. We can't really hear anything you're saying anymore.
Thing I want to
See, this is just proof on how bad it is, right?
So,
say is besides what happened.
whoa.
We can hear you.
We're sorry. This call cannot be completed as dialed.
Well, I guess while we're waiting for Ben, I'll just close out and saying I don't fully trust Turkey, but I also don't really fully trust America right now. So at the end of the day, it's not really good guy versus bad guy. It's look at all the shades of gray and find what works best for Ukraine.
Yeah.
You're in the middle of a war. You take your friends where you can find them.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, the United States is doing terrible things to Ukraine, whereas Turkey, they're saying all the right things, they're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
They want to mediate it instead of United States mediating this. Yeah.
United States
And-
mediating. At this point, that's
I couldn't even
ridiculous.
finish that one.
Mediating, dictating. What's
Yeah.
pure semiotics?
Dick sucking Russian dick.
Yeah. I mean, it all ends in ing. It's fine, you know.
Yep.
Let's see here. Dear Lord, I don't even know where to go with this. Let's just throw this in because it's fun. You always got to bring Elon to his true core values, right?
Fascism is taking over, it seems like.
Yeah.
Which actually goes along with the Dugin's multipolar world is very much it is what it is.
Yeah.
But have you guys heard like with Elon and Trump are having a rift?
Yeah.
Yeah, I keep seeing that on again, off
That
again
is,
in headlines. Yeah.
Yeah,
how
there was
much of
something
that
with,
is organized for outside appearances and how much is real?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
You know, I think there's a little bit of smelling from that. Yeah. That smells like what's on the end of the shovel when you're the lowest paid employee in the barn.
Yep. But I mean, as far as Musk is concerned, I mean, he doesn't hold any official political position, I guess, aside from being, appointed in de facto or unofficial head of different departments that don't really do anything other than cause problems. So, I mean, he's not beholden to the public image so much as a politician would be. At the end of the day, man, whether it's in the US or it's in South Africa or it's somewhere that would tolerate him in Europe or it's in Russia or somewhere in Asia, I think he's just getting milking all that he can out of the American people and economy before he figures out where he wants to retire in his old age.
I'd have to disagree with you actually, because he's losing Tesla. I mean, he lost half of his wealth a couple of days ago. And I mean, he has to impress the shareholders, which he's losing that quite fast. And people hate him. Completely hate him, like everybody.
Well, I guess when you're as rich as Musk, I guess you could lose a half or even 3/4 of your total wealth if you had a bug out plan to disappear. But he's too famous of a person. I don't think he would ever fade into obscurity. So you are correct. He has to maintain an image at least with those who do still like him, so he can try to maintain his wealth.
But it's also worth noting that the majority of his income comes through U.S. government contracts.
Oh, yes. That's right.
Tesla, Twitter, or X, or whatever you want to call it, all of those are kind of side gigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess he is a bit more tied into it centrally than he would.
Since he's now able to effectively write his own contracts.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
The $1 billion pen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can I show you guys something? This was sent in. I just have to scroll back to find the person's name. Bragdon Shizo. I think that's how I would say that. But here, the news, I don't know where this came from, but finally they got it right because she's the fist lady. Let me zoom that in for you, right? There we go. Fist lady. Brought to you by Fisted, everyone's
That is
favorite
funny.
lubricant.
Oh, Slovenia, I'm sure you're glad that too many Americans are too stupid to know you even exist.
Oh man, no, that was good. That was good. Here, we need a little reaction from Trump about that. Would he go like this? Could be. Would he go like this? Could be.
Stupid hair.
What about a mix of both of those?
Well, I think that would be this one.
I think that's not a very smart question.
Screaming baby.
Yeah. And we also have this one.
Because I have common sense.
Really?
Only he did.
But yeah, that last one is definitely the funniest joke I've heard all week.
Right.
All right.
With us doing the 42 news show on its new channel at the Shills 42, I've got to have like lots of Trump gags and Elon gags at the ready, right? Like
The chainsaw for bureaucracy.
you know, you gotta.
So high on ketamine. And I'm telling you that actually the most powerful guy in America is not Elon Musk. It's his drug dealer.
Yeah.
Right?
Ketamine for the win, fellow babies.
Who is the psychiatrist?
For Musk?
Doubt it. He has a psychiatrist.
He is his own psychiatrist.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. He just tells himself he's doing great in the mirror every single day. I'm sure.
You know, he does the whole thing from Saturday Night Live. I'm good enough. I'm smart enough. And doggone it, people like me.
They don't have their freaking job. Shit.
Yeah. You know, I'll say this, especially with everything that's happening with him trying to get all the what is it? He's basically trying to push NASA out of the equation and make SpaceX like a privatized.
Oh, that's a
choice for.
That's a brilliant idea. If you want to scatter the universe with dead people and
with all the with all the explosions recently, with all the failures of SpaceX, I feel like American global trust in American space travel is very much well in a lot of things in America, but that in particular is probably at an all-time low.
Yeah.
The only thing left.
A few dead space tourists among friends. Come on.
Hey, as long as they pay the bill in advance, I don't mind either.
Don't lose sight of the project.
Oh, Dick. So I don't. Maybe we talked about this a little bit earlier, but what are your thoughts about not just Canada but Sweden, several countries, the boycott of American goods right now going on?
I hope it keeps up and continues. I know both Rudy and Commander here are in America, Slavi as well in America, and I don't want to see my American friends in a situation where their economy sucks either. I don't want to see everybody having to shell out an extra $20,000 to get their next Ford F-150. But you know what I mean? If it's going to happen to us, it's got to happen to you guys so that enough people in the American situation stand up and say, enough, you orange-painted shit gibbon. Shut up.
Absolutely. I'll say this, though. I've known enough people from West Virginia and the Navajo Nation, and I know the shit that they've gone through for decades. I'm a little more cynical. How about the rest of you see what it's fucking like when you treat part of your country like it's it's not even part
It's
of your
waste material. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
I honestly think until the average, middle American MAGA supporter starts squealing, nothing's going to change.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I agree.
I mean, look at the pushback they've gotten for the comparatively small thing of just federal workers who were Trump supporters getting fired from their jobs, and how the town hall meetings are going now with people just
Having to be removed, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, and that's with just a tiny bit of pressure. Imagine what will happen when you get real economic pressure exerted on average middle America.
And that's what you need it to be, economic pressure, because Trump has sold himself on being the one that will fix the prices.
And respond to.
That's right. It has to hit their damn wallets. And that's when, conservative Joe, whoever that has a Chevy Silverado in his driveway is going to start going, wait a minute, this does suck. I don't like this because my fuel's more expensive and blah, blah. That's what we need, is the actual result to hit America. And then you see some pushback coming.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, if these people are so willing to cheer Trump's words, wait till you hear them bitch when the reality bites those words in the ass.
Yeah. Well, my only hope is that as that happens, they direct that ire toward Donald Trump and the MAGA movement as a whole, that it begins to.
It's going to go at Biden first.
Yeah,
MAGA will do everything they can to steer it to the previous administration. They're laying that foundation every time that blonde bimbit freaking speaks.
Yeah. Well, and my one thing I really hope is, because like you mentioned, the woman dragged out, and that was by a private security firm. That was just them being complete idiots.
Yeah.
The way they operated, but in Idaho, there are religious nationalist and separatist groups. In Tennessee, you've got crazy bastards like Jared Taylor with his American Renaissance. In Ohio, we just saw those neo-Nazis recently, that whole incident on the news not too long ago. I just hope that groups like those don't see growth as things get worse.
Yeah.
Until those people are driven back under the cockroach rocks they came crawling out of.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Definitely. There's a bunch of people on Blondie Bimbo in the chat there.
Our soon-to-be 51st state, Canada.
Oh, God.
She talked recently in her little thing about the Democrats being disrespectful and so on because they wouldn't stand up and applaud for Trump. And then she keeps pulling this, our governor, Trudeau and whatnot nonsense. You cannot ask for respect if you're not willing to hand it out. You fuck your way to the top, little bimbo bitch.
Yeah, Dick, I will say this. I don't know who's going to win the election this year, whether it's liberals or conservatives, but I do know one thing: no matter what, whoever wins, I want to see them fucking increase the defense spending of Canada.
Oh, yeah.
Because I'll just leave it at that.
We have definitely not done our little NATO part, whatever, blah, blah, the whole 9 yards on that. But at the same time, lots of others and everybody else right now is like, holy sheep shit, we better get on top of this. So as long as that right-wing Polive guy in Quebec there doesn't win, I'm sure we'll be on the path to, having some well-armed canoes or something, right?
Right.
Well, we're working on a cannon that shoots maple syrup right now, and that way your windshield wipers can't clear the windows of the boat, so they can't hit us, right?
Just learn how to make the perfect poison for the perfectly poured maple syrup on pancakes, and leave them for anyone who comes to invade. This pile are specifically for those who paint themselves orange, right?
Mexi girl in the chat, watch out for the Newfies. Oh yeah, man, you take a few of Canada's Newfoundlanders, you get them a couple of drinks into a night, like a good drinking run, and they'd single-handedly dismantle the White House with their bare hands, right?
Man, Get some boys from Nova Scotia. Get them to go all Highlander on their ass.
Oh, it has to be specifically the Cape Bretoners because they're psychotic. They are tough, old school motherfuckers, man.
Oh,
Our Maritimes are full of good old boys that are tough and they work hard and they drink. And it's the same with our prairies. We could just round up the prairies and the Maritimes and go, here's a gun, here's a case of beer, go kill enemy. And there'd be nobody left, man. It just got to keep feeding them alcohol. Exactly. Yeah.
We really need to worry when you weaponize poutine.
Yep.
Man, that's funny. Okay, so time-wise, we're getting pretty close here. I've got to get back into parenting mode and get some family time in. So let's a little bit of thoughts and wrap-ups. Everybody get whatever there is on their mind off their chest, so to speak. Rudy, what do you think there, buddy?
Nothing. I mean, there's just so much.
Where do I fucking start?
Yeah, it's just I'm at a loss for words with how much there's just too much shit that's going on. But at the end of the day, let's hope that the European Union and the rest of the other countries out there by Ukraine could help them the way they need to be helped, because apparently the U.S. is just pieces of shit now or something. Even though I live here, I don't know what else to say. So
it's that fucking administration. It's not the country or the people. It's just the administration.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure.
The MAGAs.
Yep.
They're pieces of dirt, man. I don't know.
It must be so hard being an American right now.
Yeah, it is. It really is.
Right now, MAGA just means make America gape again.
Sakai, it's your turn. What do you think?
I just want to remind everyone to please, because we come here to talk and keep y'all updated with news, but find actionable things to do in support of Ukraine, in support of fighting against everything that the administration is trying to do in America. Get out there, find a protest for Ukraine, find a protest against Trump, get involved in boycotts, get involved in, if you are physically able to, traveling out to wherever, whether it's Ukraine, if you are willing to get out there to help and you're able to, whatever it might be. But please stay involved, because inaction is our enemy. And that's all I've got to say.
I agree there. 1 second here. I'm just typing something. Sorry. Let's see here. We will go to Commander McMillan. What do you think?
Fun times, unquote. Yeah. No, it's we're looking at dark days, and it's, I think, going to get a lot worse before it starts getting better. So I agree with what Sakai said, and continue to flood your elected officials with phone calls, texts, emails, letters, what have you. Make sure they know what you support and that it's all very important to you that we go back to being pro-Ukraine as opposed to Russia's butt boy.
Yes. Oh, please. Oh, please. Slavi, what do you think?
Well, America, this is for you. This is your moment right now. The fight in Ukraine is not just about Ukraine's freedom. It's about our liberty at home. Tyranny does not stop on its own. And if we turn away now, we invite more war, more destruction, and more suffering here at home. So history will ask us where we stood, and will we be the generation that let democracy crumble, or the one that stood up, as Americans always have, against oppression? So show up, speak out, go to rallies, call your representatives, demand support for Ukraine, and demand it. Thank you to everyone that's tuned in into the live stream on all the channels where we're streaming it to. Thank you to the team behind this live stream. Thank you to moderators on my channel. And if you're new here, please don't forget to subscribe on whichever channel you're watching it from. Actually, subscribe to all the channels. And yeah, thank you so much, guys. Keep standing with Ukraine. This is the time. This is the time of our lives. That's for sure. So, Slava Ukraini.
Heroям slava.
Don't Slava.
So let's turn to our guest today, Trident Patriots. Ben, what do you think, buddy? Last words are all for you.
Well, I appreciate that. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, coming through good.
So there's two things I wanted to kind of highlight. The first thing is that I'm shocked about the propaganda that's reached American ears here in America. So for those that don't know Ukrainian history, I just advise you to just Google it. Just Google Ukraine history and just read. It's not too hard to understand. I did it, and I don't have a college education, so I know that you can do it. If I can do it, anyone can. So, educate yourself about the fact that Russia never accepts any peace agreements. They always break it, and they always commit massive atrocities. And history repeats itself, and you see it again over and over and over. And we are trying to prevent it from happening again. So, we are trying to learn from history and prevent it from happening. And then people like the Trump administration don't care about that. They care about money. And anyway, point is learn from history, fight it. The second thing I wanted to say is this. A lot of Americans don't understand that there are still, the war here in Ukraine is happening in the sense of every night there's sirens here. All right. So, and there are drones. I'm in Kiev City right now. Earlier in the live, or earlier in this podcast, I looked up and I saw lights from air defense. They were shooting at a drone. Okay, and the audio didn't pick it up, I'm guessing. But the point is, it's happening even now. And I am in a city that has a lot of people that are trying to live a normal life. All right, you have people living all the way from preschool being dropped off so their moms can go to work, all the way to middle school, high school, college, university students trying to do their work. You have, like I said, moms trying to go to school and go to work. You have fathers that are at the front lines or about to get drafted. All the male population is being drafted. So the main thing is that understanding that this is not in a textbook or history book. It's happening now. It's not fake. It's real. It's happening right now in the moment. And so I just want you to understand that and maybe fight the disinformation. Not so maybe you can't donate. Maybe you can't come here to Ukraine. But the biggest thing I could advise you to do is make a conversation explaining the truth. If you can fight lies with truth, then you can combat disinformation.
Good words, dude. Good words. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for being on the show today with us, Ben. That was really cool. We'll get you back on in the near future here. That'd be great. I got a couple of shout outs quick before I hit some buttons here for you, everybody. Holy Oblation had the last one in, and we did clarify EM was Elon Schmuck. So love him, that one. Stephen Walsh should come in with a shout out here as well. The budget issue next week. Watch for that one. Oh, I'm sure it's going to be coming up on this channel very soon. We had the Weasel in with a super sticker. It was the little pear guy. And he's either blowing one of those little fancy party things that go, or he's got a cocaine straw that keeps going up his nose. I'm not really sure what's going on there. And then we had Niles G in the chat again, gifting out another 10 Shills memberships. Woo! Thanks, Niles. Thank you so much. and if I swing over here as well, we had Scooter Pie in with a direct Ko-fi donation as well. He was saying, what on earth is with JD Vance's beef and Zelensky and the do you even own a suit BS? The reporters should have been slapped and then kicked out. I had to kick them square in the sack because no one ever said that to Elon Schmuck.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So thanks for the support, everybody. Thanks for the shout outs. If you're new around here, click subscribe. It's a good thing to do. Hit that like button. If you're on Slavy's channel watching, hit subscribe and like. And remember, we can find out who you are and where you live. So do it. And we've got, we're on Rudy's channel as well. So hit those buttons, tickle them. It's not like it's personal, but it still gives a lovely feeling inside. And thanks for joining us. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for supporting. And we'll end it with 2 words. Slava Ukraine.
Bravo.
Good shout, everybody. Keep your stick on the ice, fellow babies.
It's over. Go home. Go.